Okay then, tonight is the night. This is a first. We are live here at the BT Sports Studios in London for the British Cycling Zwift eRacing Championships. This will be amazing, trust me. We have 2 live races for you, one for the women and one for the men, and they will come fully loaded with speed and drama. So what is this event and how does it work? I hear you ask. Don't worry, I got you tonight. Let me explain. Zwift is an online multiplayer game and training tool that allows riders to compete against each other in a virtual world. Each rider's bike is connected to the game, so the faster they pedal in the real world, the faster they go on Zwift. Here at the British Cycling Zwift eRacing Championship, each bike will imitate real-life conditions. So when riders hit an uphill section, they'll feel the gradient. If they slipstream another rider, then they'll actually experience less resistance. This groundbreaking event has a 3-race format where riders earn points depending on where they finish in each contest. Race 1 is a 5-lap elimination race where riders get eliminated at the end of each lap until only 2 are left to fight it out for the win. Race 2, the HSBC UK points race, sees competitors get awarded points for how they perform in various sprints. First place goes to the rider who earns the most points during the contest. Race 3 is the Wahoo scratch race, where the premise is simple. 2 laps of a 9.1-kilometre route where the first rider over the line takes the win. Whoever accrues the most points from all 3 races will take home the championship jersey. This will be spectacular. This has never been done before on British television, so stay with us for the ride. Okay then, we'll show you what happened in the men's and women's elimination and points races in just a moment. But let me just mark your card on what's coming your way over the next couple of hours. In about 20 minutes, we'll see the women's Wahoo scratch race, which will be fascinating. And then at about 9:15, the men will give it a blast in the same event. And I can assure you, it will be frantic.
Yes, the tension is building here ahead of the Wahoo scratch race, and it promises to be fast and furious. At the end, we will crown the first ever British Cycling Zwift eRacing champion. Strap yourselves in and let's meet the 10 riders taken to the stage. Fastest in qualifying and former international distance runner, Mary Wilkinson. Second fastest in qualifying, it's Sharon Bird. Leah Dixon steps up, racing for brother Tifosi. Former international rower, it's Ro Bradbury. Caroline Murray races, here for Team Fearless. Last minute replacement, it's Corinne Fox. Claire Reid in action, racing for KISS RT. Miriam Jessett, here for Kirkley Cycles. Lexi Brown in action tonight. And also racing for Team Fearless, it's Leah Brewer.
Okay then, so you've met the riders and they've already competed in 2 events earlier today, the elimination and the HSBC UK points race. They didn't disappoint. Alex Bryson has more.
Race 1 saw riders compete against each other over 5 laps, with the last 2 riders to cross the line at the end of each lap being eliminated. Bradbury, Dixon and Brewer set the pace in the sprint for the first elimination, which saw Caroline Murray and Claire Reid receive their marching orders. As the remaining 8 riders kept up a fierce pace during lap 2, it was again Bradbury who was first over the line, with Dixon, Brewer and Wilkinson in hot pursuit. But it was lights out for Lexi Brown and Miriam Jessett, who couldn't keep up. Lap 3 saw Corinne Fox fall off the back of the pack, while despite having an Aero Boost power-up, Leah Brewer couldn't make up the ground needed to stay in the race. So then there were 4 left to fight it out. Bradbury, Wilkinson, Bird and Dixon. Dixon got dropped, while Bradbury just pipped Wilkinson at the line to make it into the last 2. The final lap saw a straight shootout between Bradbury and Bird for first place. As the finish approached, Bradbury used her lightweight power-up to great effect. After that, there was no catching her.
The final sprint, what goes through your head there as well? Just all out to the line?
Yeah, basically, because the time before she'd come through so strongly, I just knew I had to keep going right to line, and it just gets harder each lap because you got more tired. But yeah, it's good. Pleased to win that one.
So a great start and 25 points for Rosamund Bradbury, with Sharon Bird and Mary Wilkinson completing the top 3. But there was still plenty to play for as they got back in the saddle for the HSBC UK points race. After having to restart the race due to a technical issue and seeing the withdrawal of Caroline Murray from the competition due to injury, it was back to business as the riders competed for points over the 3-lap course. Each time they crossed the sprint line, the first 4 riders were awarded 5, 3, 2 and 1 point respectively, with points doubled on the final lap. Once again, it was Bradbury who took the initiative, taking the first set of 5 points on offer after using a well-timed power-up, with Wilkinson in second. By the time the 4th and final sprint came round, and with double points on the line, it was still Bradbury and Wilkinson who were fighting it out for the win.
Bradbury has so many watts that she can almost come around the feather boa, but no, Wilkinson's timing is absolutely perfect. As Bradbury fades, Wilkinson takes it at the line.
It was mind over matter. I knew that if I stand any chance of being able to win the overall, I had to win that race. So it was literally just get your head down, close my eyes and hope for the best.
So after 2 races, it's Rosamund Bradbury who's top of the leaderboard, with Mary Wilkinson just 4 points behind. Sharon Bird and Leah Dixon sit 3rd and 4th, as the battle for the coveted British Cycling eRacing Championship comes down to tonight's final race.
Okay then, time for you to meet the team who will be holding your hand tonight and leading you through the action. We've got former pro cyclist Matt Stevens and Hannah Walker, and another man who made a career for himself on 2 wheels, the voice of Zwift no less, Nathan Guerra. Guys, just look around you. How exciting is this right now for cyclist fans and Zwift fans out there, Matt?
We're making history. This is absolutely groundbreaking. Cycling is about to be properly catapulted into the 21st century. We've got the iconic bands at stake tonight. I mean, the iconic bands, the British Championships, of course, riders have fought for them over the years in the real world, and now for the very, very first time, they're going to be won in the virtual world. It's going to be mega. I am so excited.
Indeed. Now, Nathan, people will be watching at home going, it looks pretty easy, this, but when you've got those hill climbs and the gradients change, how people need to know that it actually affects their pedaling and how fast they're going, doesn't it?
Yeah, so these riders are putting out real power on real bikes on smart trainers, and so those trainers are pushing back on the pedals for them, and so they have to actually take on the gradients that are in the game. They actually feel those uphills, that's for sure. Okay,
so not easy. And Hannah, as a former cyclist, when you've got something where you've got amateurs doing this at home in a garage or in a spare bedroom, if they're lucky to have a spare bedroom, they're doing this, and now they get to compete with professionals. That gives them the incentive to push on, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic how riders, amateurs and professionals can come together and race at an event like this. And the amateurs are just showing the professionals actually how it's done in the previous 2 races, in the elimination race and the HSBC UK points race. So yeah, it's going to come down to the wire, and I think it's fantastic that we can see this mix.
Definitely coming down to the wire. I am very excited about this. Listen, we are fast approaching the start of the women's Wahoo scratch race, and Laura is among those gunning for glory.
I am indeed very lucky to be backstage here among the riders who are just preparing. Nerves are jangling down here. I'm joined by Ro Bradbury, who is leading the women's race as things stand. Just 4 points in it, though. A brilliant win for you in the elimination. How have you found the afternoon? How have you recovered leading into the scratch race?
Yeah, well, I think it's all about recovery. So it's been hard last couple of hours, and I think we are all feeling pretty tired. It's very intense doing these 3 races, and Zwift racing is always so hard. Yeah, but looking forward to this last one.
And for you, coming in as the number 1, as the leader, is that pressure? Is that motivation? Do you relish that?
Well, although that's true, Mary is only 4 points behind, so it's going to be really, this is whoever wins this one out of us 2 or anyone else who's behind, I think is going to be in for winning overall. So yeah, I might be a few points ahead, but I don't know how much that really matters now.
Well, best of luck to you. I'll let you go and prepare for the race. This lady here, Mary Wilkinson, just 4 points behind. It's all getting very close. What's your game plan coming into the scratch race?
First off, it's going to have to see how, like Rosamund said, how we've all recovered. Just see how the legs are when we get going. It is a tough course. There's 2 quite challenging climbs in there, so it'd be interesting to see how everyone plays it, really.
And you're both former international athletes in different sports. Do you think that plays to your strengths here in terms of perhaps a mental toughness?
It certainly helps, you know. I think also from the sort of stress levels as well. We've experienced this level of competition, so I think we can control the nerves a little bit. We still get nervous, but we've been there, we've done it, and it does help us certainly.
4 points in it, first ever British Cycling Zwift eRacing champion. What would it mean to you to win?
Oh, it would mean everything. You know, to be here from the start with this whole concept is just amazing. So to be able to win it would be incredible.
Well, best of luck to you. I'll let you prepare as well. Moments away, Tom. It's all getting very exciting.
Thank you so much, Laura. Those riders looking very composed. People at home are getting nervous. I'm nervous about this.
I'm getting nervous as well.
Yeah, I know. I can see. You even brushed your brow there for a second,
indeed.
Matt, what is a scratch race for those who aren't initiated into that?
It's probably the most simple to explain. First across the line is the winner. The term comes from track racing, where it's just basically they normally do 20 laps or 40 laps, but no, it's nice and simple. Although it's going to be very tactical today, it is literally the first across the line gets maximum points. Simple as that.
Simple as that. Okay, Nathan, it is a climb involved in this track, and I want to know, for people at home who are sort of thinking, well, how can they approach it, these riders, with Zwift, the sort of game element of it?
Yeah, so they're going to be taking on the Watopia reverse course. There's going to be 2 laps, and there's a big climb right in the middle of each one of those laps. It's going to take them about 3 to 4 minutes or so to take on, depending on how hard they push it, and they're definitely going to be feeling the gradients on that climb. I think the riders are mainly going to be thinking about that climb and how it plays out, who can really get to the top the quickest.
Okay, and Hannah, obviously these riders all have almost like a specialist. Some are better at climbing, some are better on the flat. Who is this going to play to the strengths? Those that can climb?
Yeah, I think it will play to those who can climb and those who've got that punchy type climb ability as well. You know, Mary Wilkinson, I've got my eyes on her. But yeah, it will play out to those who can climb and get over the climb. If those riders can really push on and, you know, get the bit between the teeth and get over the climb, it will come down to those sprinters. So it's just knowing where it's going to play out. It's just going to be so exciting to see.
Yeah, definitely that second race. She had great determination and grit to get all those points. Listen, guys, we're going to take a break now because we're just moments away from the women's Wahoo scratch race here at the British Cycling Zwift eRacing Championships. You do not want to miss this. See you on the other side of this break. Okay then, welcome back. This is television history. Now, unfortunately, we lost Caroline Murray through injury earlier, so there's now 9 women who are going to go head-to-head here at the British Cycling Zwift eRacing Championships. Now, we told you all about the Wahoo scratch race, and Laura is with one of the competitors just over there.
I am indeed. Thank you, Tom. In a very privileged position right here, right amongst it, heart pounding, palms sweaty. Even I'm getting nervous. Now, of course, this is about physiology, but it's also about tactics, and we must talk about the power-ups. This button here will set those power-ups off, and let's just talk now about the 3 power-ups that our riders can use here. Firstly, that draft effect. Now that increases the draft effect by up to 50% for 30 seconds. Featherweight, that lightens the load for 15 seconds, and the all-important aero boost for 30 seconds as well. So plenty for the riders to watch out for. It's also a game of luck. I'm with Sharon Bird here, currently poised in 3rd place overall. Now, Sharon, when and where will you be using those power-ups?
The feather power-up is probably more relevant for this type of race when there's 2 climbs. So we'll use them at the start of the climb to give you a bit more watts per kilogram. Then the draft power-up is then if you're behind someone, just using that to gain save energy in the race. And finally, the aero one is probably the most important in sprinting or coming to the end of a race when you just want to get that boost.
And of course they're random as well, so there's an element of luck here too.
Total luck, yeah. Sometimes you can get nothing when you go through, or it's always good when you see that aero helmet, definitely.
And we had an afternoon that was quite sprint heavy. We've now got a bit of climbing, and I feel that's going to favour you. How are you going to play this one?
Hopefully it'll favour me. Legs are a bit tired after the last 2 races, but again, everyone's in the same boat, so hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll be okay.
And what does it mean to you to race here? BT Sports Studios, live television on Zwift Racing. It's amazing, isn't it?
It's brilliant. We're absolutely loving it. All the girls are just getting on so well, and it's good competition and good fun. Yeah, I'm just so glad and happy to be here.
And 3rd overall, 12 points behind the leader. Maybe you could close the gap. We never know. What would it mean to you to win it?
Oh, it would be amazing, honestly, but again, obviously you want to win, but I'm just going to see how the legs are, do my best, and it'd be amazing to get it, but again, amazing competition here, so I know all the girls are really strong, and we'll just see how it plays out.
And esports, you picture people sitting at home on the computer. This is definitely not that. Can you put into words how hard you've trained and how much you've put into this and how hard it is on the bike?
I have trained so hard over the winter, but mainly because I love it. I love Zwift, and I'm up every morning at 5:30 doing it before I go to work. So, I like working hard, but all the girls here do it, and it's a good hard workout. Yeah.
It definitely is. Best of luck to you, Sharon, 3rd overall. Well, that's it. It is race time. Let me hand you over to Matt and Nathan, who will guide you through the drama.
Thank you very much indeed, Laura. They are in the pens. Only 2 minutes to go to the final here. 2 laps of the reverse court of Watopia. Of course, all those climbs as well. Nathan, it's all to play for here, but this is going to be very, very tactical. But we have to say, it's a brutally difficult course, isn't it? Especially the reverse version of Watopia. Several climbs, not very easy to get into a rhythm.
Yeah, it is an initial kick right from the top of initial kick's gonna be extremely difficult, then it levels out just a little bit, then there's a second kick to the top of this climb. They're gonna be looking for those wheels about halfway through, and then it's gonna be about that kick over the top.
Of course. Let's have a little look at the leaderboard going into the final round. Well, it is Rosamund Bradbury, 45 points to the good. Mary Wilkinson of Kiss RT not too far behind, only 4 points adrift. Then we have Sharon Bird at 33, Leah Dixon 29, Leah Brewer 20, Miriam Jessup with 18. Then we have 14 for Corinne Fox, Claire Reid with 10. Lexi Brown has 8, but let's have a little look at the course. We talked about the Watopia reverse. Here it is in all of its glory. Just talk us through this.
Yeah, we're looking at the Essies here. There's going to be a couple of punchers right from the get-go. Not real long climbs. Then they're going to go across what's known as the Julian Washington Bridge before the reverse sprint. Then it's into the climb proper, though, out on course. There is a really steep kick right from the get-go. Then it levels off here, and then it's onto the KOM banner at the top. Now, after the KOM banner, it's going to be about holding on a very high-speed downhill into the lap finish banner. On lap number 2, it's going to be all about setting up for the sprint.
It certainly is. It's if you've ever ridden this course, this finish. I mean, there's It's an opportunity definitely for riders to go clear on the final, but it's very, very hard, like in the real world, to carry that momentum through to the finish. But the countdown is upon us, 12 seconds heading in. I'd almost like to kind of ask the crowd for a bit of a countdown, but we won't. We'll count it through. 5 seconds to go. Remember, this is the grand final. The jersey up for grabs, and they are out of the pens. Expect big, big power from the off, and that is what we are seeing. 400, 500 watts. Nathan, the start ever so important on Zwift.
Yeah, it's all about the start on Zwift. It's extremely fast from the get-go. You would think at a standstill on those trainers, oh, it's just going to be a rollout. No, they ramp up very quickly while they're on the trainers to get the power very high, and then it's essentially like a slingshot, and they come flying out from these piers. They're going to be looking to grab on the wheels, and there's drafting in the game as well, so they're going to try and find those wheels in the game and sit in to try and hold as little power as they need to hold the speed that you see at the top of the screen right now.
Indeed, and this format, again, it's something we haven't kind of seen before. It's a format that we've essentially drawn from the track. The Omnium is a new discipline in the Olympic Games. And of course, aside from the tactical side of things, Nathan, what we haven't talked about a lot is the physiology here. The fact that this is now round number 3. It's been a very, very difficult day. It's a stressful environment, of course. There's a lot at stake, but also this is the third intense effort of 30 minutes. These riders are going to be fatigued going into this final race.
Yeah, they are, and it might actually play a little bit into the tactics to kind of wait for only 2 big efforts on the climb. I would be surprised if anybody really tries to give it a go through the Essies this first time. They might be sitting back and trying to wait and see who's got what, who's bringing what to the table, where they're going to throw the chips on the table here. Is it going to be the Essies? Will it be the climb? As we do head in, though, to the Essies for the first time, Leah Brewer looks to be leading out for Fearless, and then it's going to be Dixon taking over at the front.
Yeah, certainly some big power early on. You can just see 300 watts, 350 watts, but of course, as well as looking at the avatars on their screens, the beauty of the location here at the BT Stewards, they can look across, they can see the faces for real as well as seeing them in the virtual world as well. Absolutely fascinating. It really, really is. But again, early stages, but big power being put out, an opportunity for the riders who don't have a lot of punch in the sprints, an opportunity for them to try and maybe start to dig away at the reserves of the riders who don't really like the climbs.
Yeah, we're looking at Leah Dixon here, and she's actually done this all day long. She's kind of been sitting at the front a lot, not too worried to take a little bit of the wind in the face, actually, and pull the group along. And being a rider who definitely, I think, wants to grab some points here, she's setting up in the right position out on course here, just to make sure she doesn't find herself too far back in this pack. Because if somebody does give a little go over one of these little punchers through the Essies here, they could find themselves off the back and chasing. And as we know, in Zwift racing, chasing back to a pack, just like in real life racing, is almost impossible.
That's it. I mean, again, worth explaining again, just like in the real world, if you're sat on the wheel of another rider or in the middle of a pack, you get the benefit of the slipstream. Essentially like a vortex is created as the rider passes through the air, making it far easier to sit in that low pressure area behind the rider. And this is pretty much the same in Zwift. So chasing to get back on, as you said, Nathan, very, very difficult. And that's why we're seeing all of these riders making sure they're staying in contact the best they can, especially in these early stages.
Yeah, we are seeing Brown heading to the front there in the purple jersey. Then it's going to be unattached rider is Jesset there. Miriam Jesset taking over at the front, as we do see the real life effort there coming from her right now. On screen, though, let's give you a little bit of information about what you're seeing. In the upper left-hand corner, you see the current watts that Miriam Jesset was putting on. Watts is the measurement that we use in bike racing or bike training to measure how much power is going into the pedals. But you can also see a heart rate. Some people who are into fitness and training and exercise might be more familiar with. A very high heart rate means you're working very hard. 183 beats per minute, probably pretty high, pretty close to how high her heart can go for his max heart rate. 102 RPMs for the cadence there. On the right-hand side, you can see that she is the rider currently selected. At the top, you see how fast they're traveling, how much distance they've covered, as well as the meters that they've climbed and the time on the race.
And also just in the bottom left-hand side of the screen as well, you can see that little graph just showing like the little spikes in power. And because of the nature of this course, because it's up and down, because there's a long climb, a couple of short little kickers, as well as a couple of little flat sections, you are going to see a real staccato style of effort, which is indicated on the graph on the left-hand side. Of course, all the nationalities, the British Championships, a couple of the riders, they're opting for the English and the Welsh flags as well. But at stake, the iconic British bands that they'll be able to wear for a year in the virtual world, and that's a big thing, and that is something that Zwift did. There are various national championships throughout the world. I mean, esports is gaining a lot of momentum, and it's great to be here at the sharp end seeing this unfold, isn't it?
Yeah, we're actually watching the the British Cycling National Championships meeting esports, the cycling real life meeting esports now, and having it actually crowned here for the first time. Sharon Bird we're looking at here, riding for Vision Cycling in game. As you can see, the kit that's on there, and sitting pretty there, it looks like, within the pack, not really wanting to take too much. And it seems like all of the riders are kind of playing the hand-holding game a little bit, riding within the peloton, finding themselves at the front, and then backing off a little bit to make sure they're not wasting too much energy, because if you are on the front, you are pulling everyone else along. We do see this is her first-person point of view, so as she looks down at the screen in front of her, this is the actual view that she has. So that's why the screen changes a little bit from view to view. There is the view from our production, and there's the view from the racer themselves. And this one shows us what power-up she has. She has the drafting power-up right now. So that means when she uses that, she'll have to put out a little less effort in order to hold on to the wheel in front of her. That is maybe one she'll want to get rid of, because the aero power-up or the feather power-up, as she had said in her interview, was the one she maybe be after for the climb. So she'll most likely use that before she goes to the KOM banner.
Indeed, you can just see that little icon just hovering above the rider there. That's the van. They have that for 30 seconds. The aero helmet, again, the one that everybody wants, especially for the finishing sprint. That, again, lasts for 30 seconds. And the other one is the featherweight power-up. That lasts for 15 seconds and makes riders lighter. So you'll see riders use that on the climb. And a couple of these riders, especially coming into the final, or perhaps maybe, what would you say, given the nature of the running to the line here, what would you say is the best? The kind of aero power-up for the sprint, or the featherweight for the climb before the final? It's a difficult one, isn't it?
Yeah, well, we do see Sharon using her drafting power-up there, so she is getting rid of it. She does want to collect a different power-up. But I think for the climb, you know, if it's about your tactic. What is the rider's plan coming into the race? If their tactic is, I'm a climber, I'm not going to sprint against Bradbury, I'm not going to be in that, I don't think I'm going to make that final sprint if it does come to the line. They're going to be looking for that feather power-up and maybe use it. At the same time, though, there is the reality that this is a little more drawn-out climb, and it does have a couple of flatter sections. If they want to attack on the climb, they may want to go for that aero power-up as well. It is going to come down to a little bit of randomness as to what they do get. If it's in the final sprint, though, obviously the aero power-up, 30 seconds, reducing the drag on the avatar, reducing how much power you have to put out in order to get massive amount of speeds, and everybody's always looking for that aero.
It is absolutely fascinating stuff, and we're still in the early stage of this race, but I think it's just worth talking a little bit again, just for people coming into this and seeing this concept for the very, very first time. Of course, the physical side, these riders are riding in kind of real-world conditions on their bikes. It's brutally hard, but we've talked about the power-ups, but also the kit that the riders can use in-game. When you're riding on Zwift, the more that you ride on Zwift, the more kit you can unlock. So you'll be looking at light bikes, aerodynamic frames, aerodynamic reels. There's so many different factors to consider in this as well, isn't there?
Yeah, there definitely is. We're looking at Mary Wilkinson here riding for the KISS Racing team in game in that blue and light blue and orange striped kit. It looks like a little bit of rocking here back and forth. She's chosen the Tron bike. It's one of the fastest bikes in game. The Zwift concept bike, as it's known officially in game. But they are about to hit this climb, and it is one of the best climbers that is out there, but also a best all-arounder bike. So it looks like a lot of the athletes out there today have chosen the Tron bike if they have unlocked it in the game.
Of course, you need to reach a certain level on Zwift to kind of earn these
50,000 meters of climbing in order to unlock the Tron
why
bike.
I haven't got that bike just yet, Nathan. I've got a bit of work to do. There we go. And also another little indicator. If you just look to the centre of the screen, there's a little drop. There's the stat on the screen at the moment is just under 3 million. The higher the number, the more kind of prizes you can actually unlock within the game as well. That's a new feature within Zwift. And again, look at the power here. You've got the heart rate, 176 BPM, the power, and RPM. Well, that's revolutions per minute. Different riders use different cadences, different styles of rider. Starting to split a little bit on this climb, Nathan.
Yeah, here we go. We are starting that climb that we were talking about. We're going to be doing this twice, and this is the first time you can see the gradient from the first-person point of view. And already an aero power-up here. Aero boost coming from Lexi Brown now, trying to hold on as it hits a 10% gradient. You can see the suffering on the face. She's doing everything she can to try and hold on at this point. 187 beats per minute, but the pack is starting to leave her. If she doesn't make it through this little bit of a kick here, she's going to lose this pack, and the rest of the riders are going to be looking to coalesce and hold on to the flatter sections of the climb.
I tell you what, Nathan, there is nothing virtual about the face of Lexi Brown at the moment. That is real pain, but look at the drive, look at the determination. She's got to try and get on just over the top, but as you said, it's now or never, isn't it? Once that pack starts moving and working together, it's going to be very, very difficult. The crowd now here getting behind these athletes. Okay, this is getting absolutely fascinating now, but it looks like we have the first proper whittling down process, Nathan.
Yeah, we do, and she's falling off the back in about 7 seconds at this point. Not only has she, but we do see Leah Brewer. We're seeing Brewer here, as well as Fox, and as well as Reed, all starting to fall off the back here. So the elastic is starting to snap, and we do see the strongest riders starting to show who they are out on Zwift here. Bird's at the front there. Dixon's at the front, starting starting to drive the pace. They see that the other riders are being put on the back foot. We do see Bradbury, who's a favorite. Wilkinson, who we've been talking about all night long, has now made her way to the front, and now they want to definitely capitalize on the damage that's been done.
They certainly will. They'll start to ride together as best they can. Mary Wilkinson, she'll be happy with this situation. She's ever such a strong rider. We know that, but what she certainly won't want to do, that is for sure, is leave this to a sprint. She's going to want to go along. She certainly, as best she can, wants to whittle down this group and definitely make the riders pay for it, try and deaden the sharpness that some of the sprinters have.
Yeah, and looking at the standings currently with Wilkinson in second place, Bradbury in first, Sharon Bird in third, and the teammate, though, of Wilkinson in here, Reed, is not really in contention for that top spot at this point. We may see Reed sit in and wait for a moment to give a little bit of extra boost there, a little bit of a draft maybe at some point if Wilkinson does get in trouble, or maybe launch her at some point into the climb in the next lap. We'll see if she does have the power to support the rider in that way. But Wilkinson now taking a turn at the front at 6 watts per kilogram at about, that's a very high power output that she's putting, and we do see her on the riders nearby list on the right hand side going to the front, and now backs off a little. Looks like she was trying to put a little bit of sting in the legs of the other riders perhaps.
That was just a nasty little surge, the kind of one when you do out on the open road, you look around, just see the faces of your riders, you look at the way they carry themselves on the bikes, and again, as well as looking at the stats on screen, which are very, very important indeed. Many of these riders will know each other's kind of strengths, their weaknesses. They can again look across and see them. That is the marvelous nature of this brand new sport that we're seeing essentially evolving in front of our eyes tonight. 265 watts. We had 6 riders in contention as we look at Rosamund Bradbury, the current leader.
Yeah, Rosamund Bradbury was just responding actually there for a moment to Mary Wilkinson attacking again. This is the final kick up to the KOM banner. This will be the finish of the climb, and they're really starting to put the pressure on now. We did see something there. We saw Bradbury with an aero power-up, and as a sprinter, I think she wants to hold on to that till the final sprint actually. So I believe she's just looking to follow wheels and take everybody out in the sprint. Wilkinson, though, you can see here, was trying to put the pressure on, does not want that, I do not believe. I think what's going through her head is how hard do I need to go to break everybody in this race. Now Jesset, though, this is surprising, making herself known at the front here and taking the fastest, it looks like, time over the top, perhaps, as Miriam Jesset leads over the top of the KOM.
Well, Miriam Jesset, good little move there, and this descent, it flattens here and kicks up again, and then it drops down very, very quickly. Then you've got the tight right-hand hairpin, and then it is very, very steep to the bottom. You can just see rounding that first hairpin. Normally we come up the other way on Zwift. This, of course, is the reverse course, but there we have 6 riders in contention, the rest dropping away 36 seconds, 1 minute 31. So these are the 6 riders that are in contention for the National Championships. Just a reminder, if you've just joined us, that this is round 3 of essentially an Omnium final. We've already had the elimination race, we've already had the points race, and the leader at the moment is Rosamund Bradbury with 45 points. Mary Wilkinson has 41, Sharon Bird has 33 points, 25 points on offer for the winner of this, the final race.
Yeah, and those 3 are all in contention still for the National Championship jersey here. So it's going to be interesting to see how they do play out. We did see a feather power being up there on the downhill, which is kind of an odd place to be using it.
That's a strange one, I must admit.
But we do have now, the viewers at home, we haven't talked about this yet. Where do you collect power-ups? It's through the banners. So we just had a KOM banner where they were able to collect a power-up. I believe that rider knows that the lap finish is coming very quickly here and was
Another
like,
option,
I
yeah.
don't really need this feather power-up. Let's try and get an aero power-up for the final.
That's a really good point, because you can't get another power. You can't actually bank power-ups. You can only have one at any one time, so sometimes you need to get rid of it if you don't want to use it, especially when we're on the flat section now. So you will see riders generally doing that to make sure that they've got the right one on board, because the gamification side of it, of course, you've got to be fit, you've got to be strong, you've got to be prepared to go from the blocks and have a very, very good warm-up, but you need to know how to use these power-ups, especially near the back end of the race, and that's something that we've seen the professional riders increasingly get better and better at.
Yeah, definitely. The professional riders learning the ropes of Zwift. They've been racing amongst the community a whole lot lately. Now, as we do see Leah Dixon here really setting herself up well there toward the top 3 within the pack, making sure she doesn't lose any wheels. I did see Sharon Bird just a moment ago using another drafting power-up. A little bit unlucky perhaps for what she was aiming for. We saw her talking a little bit beforehand about looking for a feather power-up or that aero power-up. Maybe she'll be able to grab one, as all the riders now will have had another chance as they came through into the final lap here. When they went underneath that lap banner, they would have had another chance at a power-up. We'll have to see what they're able to grab as we get on into this last lap.
Indeed, so a reminder, we have Jesset, Dixon, Bird, Wilkinson, Reed and Bradbury forming this 6-rider front group. They've been through the finish. They essentially just have one 1 lap to go. The road now just drags up for about a kilometre. Then we hit the S's, a series of rolling bumps, then a nice little steep climb, and we have one more ascent, of course, of that long climb. Effort-wise, in terms of time, takes about 3 minutes. That's where I expect some action to take place. But because textbook, that's where you'd see some maybe attacks go. That's why a couple of riders might want to go earlier on and just use the element of surprise, like we see out on the open road, not doing things true to form.
Yeah, you might be able to see somebody who's not super confident in the climb either, necessarily try and get enough time to stay away all the way to the end. Now, we did see it is a 13-minute lap that they did. They did a 13:05. That is a screaming time.
That's very quick.
I mean, that is all out, everything you got if you were a solo rider. Now, the pack was flying, though, out there, obviously traveling extremely fast together, increasing the speed and working together to get that time, but still a very fast time out on the Watopia reverse here as they head into this final lap. And back into the SEs, we might see a couple of kicks, a couple of attacks, as there are little punches through here they might be able to get away on.
Yeah, there's definitely what we call in road racing little launch pads, potential launch pads for riders just to try something. But at the moment, looking at the wattages, looking at the way that they're riding, looking at the watts per kilogram, a couple of riders now, looks like Bird is moving to the front, giving it a little bit of a nudge on one of these small rises. This section of twisting terrain, up and down as well, goes on for about 1.5 kilometers before dropping down to the bridge. We'll then go through the cobbled section, and it won't be long before we climb the final climb for the very, very last time. But just look at the richness here of the terrain rendered in Zwift. It really is something pretty special, isn't it? When you look at the game as a whole, there's so much that goes into it, isn't there?
Oh yeah, there is. I mean, it's beautiful scenery out there. All around these riders right now, there's this entire world of like all of these great ideas that Zwift has put in and created out there. There's the volcano, there's the Alpe de Zwift, there's Watopia Mountain off in the distance, so there's tons of courses.
Big world.
It is a really big world, Watopia, that they keep on adding to, so it's pretty amazing here. It does look like the pack is definitely calmed down at this point.
Yep.
The heart rates haven't necessarily calmed down. As you said earlier, they've put on a lot of effort out there, and I think that the bodies are a little bit tired and they're having to work maybe a little bit more than usual at the watts that they're currently putting out.
Indeed, they're making sure that they've been eating and drinking in between each session as well. All the riders will have fans as well to keep them nice and cool. Now it looks as if, looking at the point standings at the moment, there are only actually 4 of these women that can possibly win it at this point. And the most likely scenario will involve Bradbury or Wilkinson winning, but you just never know. That is the current situation. Still so much at stake now, and that's why we're seeing a bit of a tactical game playing out, although in this little drag now, you can see the power just going up a little bit, but the riders here acutely aware of what's to come. And I think the riders are steeling themselves, Nathan, for this final climb. That's what I get a sense of here.
Yeah, I definitely would say the same. There's this little bit of a kick right here. This little launch pad does provide an opportunity heading into the Julian Washington Bridge. They will go under the sprint section. It is a cool little section on course if you're out there riding with everybody else who's out on course and not a part of the event, where you can go ahead and try and grab a sprint jersey, a green jersey out on course. That's why we do see that little bit of a sprint leaderboard on the left-hand side showing us who has the fastest sprint through that section. But they won't be competing for that, as you said. They're looking forward to the reverse climb here that's about to happen in a moment. There is another chance here right now if you do not have the power-up that you want. As you go underneath this sprint banner, you could try and collect one. I don't see anybody using any of the power-ups they have right now, which tells me everyone's fairly happy at this point with what they have.
They must be. Well, there we go, just passing under the sprint in the reverse direction. We'll be going just through a little tunnel in a few moments' time as well. Still all together. The power's just nudging up a little bit. Dixon now moves through to the front as we look at the face of Claire Reid. This real study of concentration in this red light of the studio here. Constantly looking at the screen ahead, keeping that effort as even as she can at the moment, making sure she's aware of all of the riders around her. Not even looking left or right at the moment, just using the screen, looking at the stats, and trying to make sure she saves something for this final climb. This is starting to build. This is going to be an absolutely thrilling climax.
I think Claire Reid's really happy with this course, actually. I think that Claire, in the last couple of races, not the best races for her, and I think she is showing herself to be a little bit more of a climber today. And so maybe we might see a little bit of a wild card situation here to get within a podium, at least within this race. Not an opportunity, obviously, with the current standings overall. We are getting a little bit of information here. Wilkinson actually has the fastest climb on the reverse among these women with a 350 up and over the top. So it's going to be interesting to see if Wilkinson can throw that down and try and get away. I think that's going to be what it's going to come down to on this final climb. Wilkinson's going to most likely put a full-on attack at some point and try and get away, because we were saying that there's quite a few aero power-ups from her competition that are sitting within the group.
Of course, and this climb is a climb that all these runners have used in the qualifying rounds, so they'll know it, but they'll also know their respective strengths and weaknesses as well. They'll also know that Mary Wilkinson qualified for the Zwift Academy finals as well, nearly got that professional contract. And I've been out on the bike with her, believe you me, she is a very, very classy bike rider indeed. We're just going to have a quick look at the current leaderboard. As a reminder, remember, Rosamund Bradbury is leading with 45 points, Mary Wilkinson with 41, and then we have Sharon Bird with 33, Leah Dixon is in 4th place, and mathematically it's only those 4 riders that could possibly walk away today with those stripes of national champion, the first esports national champion, and that jersey they can wear in the virtual world for the next year. So much at stake and history being made for the very first time.
Yeah, absolutely amazing. We're going to be seeing somebody crowned here in just a moment. It's very calm still at this point. They're about to cross another bridge, and then at that point they're going to be looking at an extremely steep grade. Again, remember, real life efforts right now from real women throwing down on these smart trainers. They're on these Wahoo trainers here, and they actually push back the exact gradient. It's not just some gradient, it's the exact gradient that you're seeing in the game. So in the upper right hand corner from this first person's point of view, you can see the little mini map there, and Rosamund Bradbury is going to be looking at the gradients in the upper right hand corner, knowing what she's experiencing as she hits this climb. And at the bottom of her screen, from her first person perspective, she can also see the zones that she's in. Those colors represent the zones that are for her exercise levels, for what she can handle. So when it goes into the red, that's her zone 5, that's her super hard, what can I handle for maybe only 3-4 minutes or something like that. So you can actually see the efforts that she's been putting out so far in course, and I think we can see her tactic there as well. A lot of blue, a lot of gray there, and not a whole lot of kick, trying to hold on, I think, to as much power for that finish line.
Indeed, and it is Bradbury, the aforementioned Bradbury, has now moved to the front. It looks like she's trying to have a bit of a kick here. She's really pressing on, and she's only actually averaged 3.6 so far against everybody else's 4 for the course. So 3.6 is the watts that you produce per kilogram. That's a real measure of levels of fitness depending on your weight. And basically, although you're all riding the same course, if your watts per kilogram is lower, the amount of effort that you're putting out, it shows that you're conserving energy. So it's not necessarily about the rider who puts out the most power. It's about tactics. Now we're seeing some big power being laid down by Mary Wilkinson on the climb. It's what we expected. It's exactly what we expected.
And she needs to get a really decent gap. She has to really put everybody off at this point. She has to walk away essentially from the rest of the pack. But can she do it? And will she second guess it once they come back like this? Wilkinson now up and out of the saddle. Is she going to kick again? It looks like she's gone into a little bit slower rhythm. It doesn't look like full-on attack. Maybe a point of in her tactic now is maybe get into a little bit of attrition and then kick again and try and get that gap.
Well, she's certainly split this group. We've got Bradbury, Dixon and Bird at the same time, and Jessett and Reed are now being distanced. Jessett at 4 seconds, Reed further back, and another bit of a kick here from Mary Wilkinson. She knows realistically she has to try and get rid of these riders over the climb, but they're coming straight over the top. Dixon, Bradbury and Bird looking remarkably strong, matching Wilkinson at the moment and actually going over the top. Fascinating racing here, especially from Dixon, who moves into the lead.
Yeah, Dixon here, I think, is maybe one for a favorite for a sprint perhaps as well. We've been coming through out most of the race here, but she's really showing herself at this point to be a force to be reckoned with here. Bradbury at the front at 189 beats per minute now, taking over here. Wilkinson, though, we did see something in her favor now at this point. She did have an aero power-up, actually. Now the question going through Wilkinson's head, do I save it for the sprint or do I risk it for the climb? That is going, because if she risks it for the climb and doesn't get another one through the KOM, it could just be over for her at that point.
Yeah, it's a very, very interesting situation playing out here. So how much have I got in my legs, but also from a tactical perspective, do I go long? When do I use the power-up? Depending on the power-up that I get. Also, do you use the power-up before the sprint on the downhill section to try and get a gap? There's so many permutations that could play out here. This is what makes this such a fascinating proposition. Not too far to go now, 2.4 Ks to go, and we will know who's going to be the first esports British national champion.
So interesting to see here, and that is a great point with only 4 riders. You don't have this large pack chasing you down. An aero power-up on the downhill, that is a great tactic, actually, and if they can can get away and they're not confident in the sprint, or a double power-up, there's a super lucky situation. Somebody could use an aero power-up and get a second one going immediately through the KOM and get a full minute of aero power-up. Who knows how they're going to roll the dice here? We'll have to see how it plays out. We did see Leah Dixon there just a moment ago. From the real-life perspective, we saw her in arena with a drafting power-up. For her, it's going to be the most tactical sprint, the most tactical climb at this point about when to use that and counter what the other women do.
It certainly is, because remember, just a quick reminder as we head into it's 1.9 Ks to go, won't be long. Now remember, Bradbury leads with 45 points, Mary Wilkinson in second with 41, 25 points for the winner, 20 for second place. It's going to hinge on this final sprint. We've only got 3 riders now in the front group: Wilkinson, Dixon, Bradbury. Bird has now been distanced. Fascinating stuff now, 1.7 to go.
Yeah, and now Dixon here goes. 9 watts per kilogram coming from Dixon. Those orange numbers on the side of the screen are telling you she's all in. But Wilkinson's risking the aero power-up to go, and she's going into the red numbers now as well. 195 beats per minute, 196 beats per minute here coming from Dixon here. Coming over the top, it's Wilkinson. She's going to try and break the group now, but Dixon's got a huge effort to try and close that down. Bradbury now closing down as well. Dixon following as they come up over the top of the KOM. Wilkinson's going to lead it. Bird has been dropped. It's a race of 3.
It certainly is. There we go. Interesting use of the power-ups there, but will they get another one when they pass through? This is the long, steep descent. Now we've got the hairpin to come, and then the run-in past the pier to the finish line. 3 riders in the mix: Dixon, Wilkinson, Bradbury. Remember, Bradbury leads by 4 slender points, but it could all change. But what has Wilkinson got in the tank? We know that she needs to go long. Bradbury looking across there, picture in picture, her hair blowing in the breeze, the fan keeping her as cool as she can. But is she going to be cool? Is she going to become collected on the run into the line now? 1K to go.
Bradbury, you know, here's the thing with Bradbury. I think she's the favorite at this point because she's got the aero power-up. She's kept it calm. She's played to her tactic to wait for the sprint, Wilkinson took a huge risk using that aero power-up, but we don't know what she has at this point. Wilkinson could still have it. She could have really put the other riders on the back foot with a lot of effort already today. And Wilkinson, we heard her earlier, I just closed my eyes and tried to take it down in that elimination and in the sprint race, so maybe she's got that same effort again.
Indeed, well, here we go. We're coming into the last few hundred meters. Wilkinson, Dixon, Bradbury, those stripes up for grabs. Only Bradbury or Wilkinson can take this, given the permutation that we have at the front. It is going to be basically, if Bradbury wins it, she takes it. If Wilkinson wins it, she would take the title. Not too far to go now. It won't be long before the banner is in their sights. The National Championships bands are up for grabs. Here we go, Nathan, take us to the finish.
Yep, and here we go. Wilkinson heads to the front. It's going to be a left-hand turn and then a right-hand turn. The banners are going to be a little bit out of sight here, so they're going to probably wait until it's just within sight. It's going to be a last-second kick. Usually it's somebody with a lead out, and then it leads into the last 200 meters, and then it's everything you got. There's that aero power-up. Somewhat early, but it's Bradbury with 8 watts per kilogram. She's given everything she's got, 180 beats per minute. Bradbury's not even standing up. She's sitting down and just pedaling away at this point. Mary Wilkinson, though, trying to come across. Can she come across against the aero power-up? We've got a national championship on the line. She has to do it right now or never. It's at the line. It was just a wheel length. Just a wheel length, and I believe Bradbury may have held on, but no. Wilkinson, it looks like it may have been Wilkinson at the line.
So
we
close.
Need a photo finish.
That was a virtual photo finish. What an absolutely scintillating finale that was to the first ever British Championships on Zwift, the Esports Championships. We can't call it just yet. We're just waiting for confirmation to come through, but one thing's for sure. What a thriller that was. What an advert for this wonderful new sport, Nathan.
Oh my, that was so exciting to watch. Head to head, it could have been more perfect. It came down to the 2 riders that could win it at the end in a final sprint. And here's the replay now. I think we're going to get a replay in just a moment here. And now we can see, though, the recovery that's needed from the riders here, looking around, trying to get their breath back, but coming down to just the 2 riders, though. I mean, perfect play, perfect story to be told here.
Indeed, but Bradbury went very, very long, and I think it looked like she had it, well, not easily, but she had it in the bag, and then Wilkinson came through very, very late.
Oh,
well, it looks as if it might be Bradbury. Bradbury takes it by half a length, and we'll wait for confirmation, but it looks as if Rosamund Bradbury is the first ever Esports Zwift British national champion.
Yeah, and it looks like we do have confirmation here. British Cycling Zwift eRacing Championship winner, Rosamund Bradbury.
Put your hands together, please.
Congratulations to her. Absolutely amazing job. Timed it perfectly. The tactic was there as we talked about it from the get-go. Wait for your moment, for what you're good at. The image of Mary Wilkinson there, give it congratulations as well, as it was an amazing competition between the two.
I think Mary Wilkinson will be back again, but there we go. The face of the winner and the face of the rider that will be wearing those stripes throughout the next 12 months. That's something to think about. But also, I think as we look at this, I'm sure now, based on watching this, we're going to have a lot more people wanting to have a go at this, because that was fun, wasn't it, though? Absolutely fantastic stuff.
We're looking here on a little bit of the info in the background, and we're being told that the championship came down to 4/100ths of a second. 4/100ths a second. Amazing stats there. And let's go on over to Laura with an interview with our champion.
Thank you very much indeed, Nathan and Matt. What an incredible race. That is exactly what e-racing is all about. A brilliant final sprint. You are the first ever e-racing champion. How do you feel?
Yeah, amazing. I can't believe it. Yeah, I got the power up really early on, so I wasn't sure whether to use it, so I had a few feathers if I needed them, but stayed with it, and I'm pleased I did. Mary nearly caught me, so close.
Talk me through that final sprint. You must have seen her coming up on you.
Yeah, well, I planned to go early, but that did mean my power ran out before the line, and she was coming back fast, so just hanging on those last 100 metres. But yeah, really pleased.
And just how tough was that?
It's a really tough race after a tough day. Like I've said before, Zwift racing is never easy. It's like, it's...
The finale's on the screen right now, so just talk us through here. You're using your power up.
Yeah, so I wanted to do about 300 out, and I went probably even earlier than that. But yeah, I was just so close, but yeah, really happy with that.
What a brilliant result, and a bit of history made as well. Coming into this, is this what you hoped for, I'm sure, but did you expect?
No, definitely not, because at the qualifier I came 7th, and I struggled on the hills, but since I've qualified, I have been doing a lot of Zwift training, and it's paid off, so I'm really pleased.
And how hard have you worked for this?
Well, I've worked out how to use the power-ups. I hadn't tried them before, but they're good, and they add something to the racing. Practicing my sprint, because obviously with the earlier rounds that was going to be a massive part of it, and I tried to do a couple of double sessions in the day, even though I'm work full-time, but just to get used to the feeling of coming back and doing it again. So I have been pretty focused on this.
You've worked very hard indeed. Ladies and gents, give it up, Ro Bradbury, our champion. And it was so close. I'm going to chat now to Mary Wilkinson, because you nearly had it in that sprint, didn't you? What was going through your head coming into those final 100 metres or so, and you could see she was using the power up as well?
Why did I use the power up earlier? The strongest rider won today for sure. She's been showing us that all the way through it, so she's fully deserved it, and well done.
And second place, I'm sure you came here wanting to win, but mixed emotions right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm actually pretty pleased. Obviously disappointed to win. Everyone wants to win, but from where I was earlier in the year to getting here and doing that, I'm chuffed.
And what does it mean to you to have e-racing on such a platform as this?
Oh, it's amazing. I think it's the start of something huge, and I can just see it going from strength to strength with more and more people getting involved.
Mary, congratulations. Second place for Mary Wilkinson. Tom, what did you make of that?
Oh, thank you so much, Laura. I have to say, Matt said it brilliantly. It was scintillating. Nathan said, what a perfect story. Myself and Hannah were here on the sofa watching. I'm going to give Matt some more time to get his breath back, which seems a bit odd. But Hannah, what did you make of that incredible race?
That was absolutely thrilling. It really did come down to the wire, and it just shows how tactical the race ended up being when Leah attacked towards the end of the race, and Mary responded with her power up, and then she didn't have a power up for the finish, and Rosamund Bradbury had the aero for the final, and it just came so close in that sprint. It was fantastic.
I imagine people at home on the edge of their seats there. In the studio here, we were cheering along. Matt, how did you find it? We're talking about the aero. Mary said there maybe should have used her power up not as early as she did. Break that down for us.
It's easy to say in the comfort of the commentary booth, isn't it? Upon reflection, we weren't riding at our very limits. When your judgment sometimes is clouded by the pain that's surging through your body, gasping for air. So she might look at it and learn a little bit, but that's the beauty of it. Bike racing is a series of many, many stories. And what a story we said as Nathan that played out today. It was a thriller, a wonderful advert for this new sport. But I think for the time being, they should be very, very happy. They entertained us. And that's what this is all about as well. I mean, a real celebration of something new. And as Mary said, the start of something big.
Indeed. My sentiments exactly agree with you. Let's have a confirmation of the final table. As you can see, Ro Bradbury there, 70 points over those 3 races. Fantastic work from her. Also talking about how the fact you're trying to fit in Zwift around a work schedule and trying to do that. So incredible achievement for everyone on that board right there. So there you go. Moments away from the podium. I know that Laura is back with one of the riders, Sharon Bird. How is she feeling right now?
She didn't know if she'd come 3rd or 4th, but it's 3rd by 1 point. Tried to hug me, but I'm covered in makeup and you're a bit sweaty, so we've left it as a handshake. Sharon, congratulations. What a brilliant race. Dropped on that climb. What was going through your mind there as you saw Leah, Mary and Ro moving away?
Yeah, it's just, normally I can do mind over matter, but tonight my legs just completely seized in that climb, and I just thought I just need to keep going. And I was looking at the time of the girl behind me, and I was like, no, as long as I can stay in front of her, that's just what I was focusing on at that stage.
And 1 point in it. A word for Leah Dixon, who really took it to you in that race.
She was so strong in that race. She was brilliant. Like, I could see that she was on it. But
congratulations to you, Sharon. Tom, back to you.
Thank you so much. We were just chatting here down on the sofa because obviously great to see that Sharon is 3rd place getting on that podium. I've just been told, Mary, obviously lambing season, is a farmer, is enjoying doing this rather than lambing at the moment, which is a fair point. But I mean, how did you enjoy that race, Nathan?
It was storybook, really, when it comes down to it. Coming over the top of that climb, 3 riders on the descent, all jockeying for position, and then you come around the corner, open up for the sprint, leading it out. Will it come around at the last second? And it's nothing but a wheel length, winning by hundredths of a second. It couldn't have been more storybook. It was absolutely amazing. And kudos, hats off to the women with what a spectacle they put on.
And definitely. And I find it fascinating because it's not just the racing part, it is the tactical, knowing what to do with the power-ups. I mean, is there a better way to have done that race?
I think the nerves maybe a little bit for Mary got to her there. When Leah Dixon went and there's a national championship on the line, and I got to go, and using that, and we have been talking about it, and maybe her tactic coming into it was to get away on the climb. And so perhaps then, I'm going to do what I planned to do, but plans sometimes got to change. And it was going to come down to the sprint, it looked like at that point to me. And so maybe if she would have had it, we saw how close it was for Mary without a power-up, right? That she was able to close it down. It looks like she had the power, if she did have that power-up and hadn't used it earlier, to come around. So maybe a little bit like, learn for next time.
Indeed. Food for thought, that's what they say. Hannah, I want to talk about those final moments of the race. They were really hands-in-mouth moment, wasn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. It was, didn't know which way it was going to play out. Was Mary going to catch up to Rosamund? Was Leah going to come round? And Sharon, when she got dropped on that climb, it was, it was impressive. You just see in pictures here, Mary really sprinting, jostling for the win, and Rosamund Bradbury just had the power.
That's the last saps of energy that you have, because there's been 2 previous races from this, haven't there? So they did a remarkable job to have that in the tank still.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a long day, 3 races, and not really much time for recovery. Starting off with that elimination race, points race, sapped it out of your legs immediately, and then obviously so many times up that climb in the scratch race. So yeah, it's all about fitness, and if you're fit, you can recover well. So that's what it's about.
Well, there you go. Well, listen, I'm going to throw over to the commentators right now, Hannah, because we will have the podium and the awards being presented.
Absolutely amazing race, and obviously, and we have the podium going on here in just a moment. Now, here we go. It is, ladies and gentlemen, the award ceremony of the Women's 2019 British Cycling Zwift eRacing Championships. And the medals and jersey will be presented by Craig Edmondson, CEO of Zwift Esports. In 3rd place, and the winner of the bronze medal is going to be going to Sharon Bird. Sharon Bird really happy with herself, as you can see here. British Cycling Zwift eRacing bronze medalist. And in second place, the winner of the silver medal is going to be awarded to Mary Wilkinson. Smashing effort there from Mary Wilkinson, silver medalist in the British Cycling eRacing Championships. And in first place and winner of the gold medal, your national champion for British Cycling, it is going to be Rosamund Bradbury. Pretty amazing being able to hold on to that national championship jersey for an entire year here, Matt. I mean, both in real life as well as in Zwift.
It is. It's going to be an absolute honour. I mean, just there you go, put it on. It's going to be a momentous moment in that young lady's career. That is for sure. She can wear those stripes in the virtual world. I've no doubt she might do a sneaky ride out to the cafe in that jersey as well. But that's very special. And of course, for the first time, it's been awarded.
And the flowers will be presented by Jonathan Rigby, of the commercial director of British Cycling. So congratulations to your national champions and medalists.
Right then, wow, what an amazing race and a worthy winner. Roe Bradbury is the British Cycling Zwift eRacing Champion 2019. Stay with us because the men are limbering up for their own Wahoo scratch race, and on the other side of this short break, we will take a close look at our contenders.
Steve Young, the fastest in qualifying. James Phillips, racing here for Canyon. Kim Little, renowned Zwifter. Madison Genesis teammates and former national circuit race champion Ian Bibby and George Pym. And completing the Madison Genesis lineup, Tom Moses and Commonwealth silver medalist John Mould. Gavin Dempster and Ed Laverack also in action. And Cam Jeffers here as well, racing for Cycling Hub.
There you go, love a slow-mo. So 10 men entered this building earlier today with big aspirations of becoming champion this afternoon. They took part in 2 races, the elimination, the points race. Here's what happened.
The first men's elimination race had a cagey start, with riders seemingly reluctant to take too many chances during lap 1. That was until Kim Little broke away from the pack, which seemed to prompt Ed Laverack to hit the gas. This looked to have taken its toll on the Welshman, however, as he crashed out after the first lap, along with Steve Young. The riders picked up the pace in the second lap during the uphill sprints, with Little as a prize casualty as he was eliminated alongside George Pym. It was getting tight at the top in lap 3, with Tom Moses and Cam Jeffers both looking to break away from the pack, while Gavin Dempster and John Mould were the next to go. And when Ian Bibby and James Phillips were eliminated in lap 4, it left Jeffers and Moses battling it out for first place, with the latter victorious in the end.
I was hoping that I'd get a big gap straight away and he'd give up, but he didn't give up until the end, so I had to carry on full lap flat out, which might be hard later on to back up the other races when you've gone so hard.
So, a statement from the Madison Genesis rider as he takes the spoils ahead of race 2. Lessons seem to have been learned from the elimination race, with nobody wishing to expend too much energy early on in the points race. Again, it was Kim Little leading early on, and he looked well placed after a big uphill sprint. However, it was Gavin Dempster that made the best use of his power-up to surge to the front of the pack and claim sprint 1. Ed Laverack showed his endurance when he led at the 8-minute mark, but it was a sprint finish to the second lap between Dempster and James Phillips which provided the drama, with Phillips taking maximum points. Laverack opened up a healthy gap at the 12k mark, with Ian Bibby the second fastest at the end of the lap. And after 16.5 kilometres, it was Bibby who was once again leading, but looked tired. And another sprint finish saw Moses and Cam Jeffers battling for first place and the double points alongside George Pym, with Jeffers getting his revenge by claiming a narrow win for Cycling Hub.
I knew that Ian had attacked to try and bring me out and to chase him to set up Tom for the win, so I'm happy to just finish it off.
So confirmation of Cam Jeffers now leading the way ahead of Tom Moses, but the chasing pack aren't far behind ahead of the Wahoo scratch race.
Right then, as we get ready for whatever the men's Wahoo scratch race will throw at us, Laura is amongst a few of those hoping to be victorious tonight.
Yes, I am once again in this very privileged position, very close to the riders, all set and ready, raring to race. We're with our men's leader, 13-point lead as well, after 2 brilliant performances this afternoon. Cam Jeffers, how are you going to defend that league?
You want me to give away my race tactics in front of everyone?
In a roundabout way, yes.
I don't know. I don't know. This course is much hillier than the last 2, so we've also had a considerable gap between the second and third race, so I think it's going to depend on how everyone's recovered and how quick everyone's going to climb today. I don't think the race could be won on the climb, but I think it could certainly be lost. So yeah, trying to stay up there.
Well, a top 4 finish and you win overall.
Yeah, pressure.
No pressure at all. And this man next to you will be trying to make sure you're not going to win, and he has 3 teammates alongside him as well. Tom Moses of Madison Genesis. A good start for you. Cam Jeffers just getting ahead, of course, in that points race. How are you going to try and close that gap?
Just get as many people in between me and him as possible, hopefully. So yeah, that's all I can do.
And we're going to speak to one of your teammates as well, who is actually also in 3rd position, and that is George Pym. Earlier on, beating his teammate Tom Moses in a sprint, and we saw a few handbags, a few toys thrown out of prams earlier, didn't we, through the Madison Genesis boys?
We did, yeah. The team's in trouble, falling apart. No, we're not. Fine.
Oh, it's all falling apart at the seams here. George, what are the tactics for Madison Genesis to ensure you get as many riders as you can up there?
Pretty much that. ensures we get as many riders as we can up there. I think it's a hilly race, so we have to use that to our advantage. If you go hard enough at these hills, then it's so hard for the other guys. So we'll just try and make it hard. That's our tactic.
None of this lot are giving anything away at all. Right, strap yourselves in, grab an energy drink. In 3 minutes, we'll have live cycling. The men Wahoo scratch race is upon us.
Okay.
All right then, welcome back to live coverage of the British Cycling Zwift eRacing Championships. In just a moment, 10 men will go hell for leather on these bikes in the Wahoo scratch race. Right, let's have a look at the standings at the moment. I'm joined by Hannah here, and we're having a look at those points as you are at home. And as you can see, Cam Jeffers 13 points ahead of Tom Moses, and James Phillips down there at 27, same as George Pym. As a whole, 18 points separating them from the top spot. So I want to know, Hannah, from you, in your opinion, what does Cam Jeffers have to do to avoid losing this?
Well, like you say, he's 13 points ahead of Tom Moses and 18 points ahead of Phillips and Pym. I think he just needs to not be complacent. I don't think he can miss a beat in this race because, you know, it's kind of his title to lose right now. I mean, he's got that comfortable lead, but, you know, anything could happen. I just think he needs to be on the ball and keep his eyes on his rivals.
Yeah, but he seems like he's enjoying it. He's got a cheeky smile on his face. He had a joke with Laura. Laura batted that away. She wanted to know the tactics from Cam Jeffers. So is he in a good place? If you're sort of smiling and you're enjoying your riding, then surely you'll be all right.
I think when you are leading a race, you've got that confidence in yourself. and you know what your capabilities are. And yeah, I think he's a confident guy, and yeah, I think he's just going to take it in his stride. He's an experienced Zwifter as well, so that also plays into his hands.
Okay, now there is a team of riders over there. What can they do as a team to try and help the likes of George Pym or Tom Moses to try and take the title off Cam?
Yeah, well, with Madison Genesis, they've got 4 riders. So there's John Mould and Ian Bibby who can help Tom Moses in that final. George Pym is verging on getting on the podium. You know, he's joint third at the minute with Phillips. So, you know, how are they going to be able to help make sure that 2 riders secure a podium placing, if not take the win from Jeffers? You know, it's going to be a close call.
Now, for anyone new to cycling, when you say that a team can work together, what can they actually do mid-race to try and help Tom?
I think if, you know, Tom gets in a breakaway or he attacks, none of those other riders are going to chase him down. You know, they'll leave it up to Jeffers, and it's on Jeffers' onus to chase down any breakaways, really, because it's his race to lose right now.
Yeah, indeed. I don't want to put you on a spot, Hannah, and say who do you reckon's going to win this, but you would say with that lead that they've got, this is going to be a close one. It's up for Cam to lose.
Yeah, I think it's Cam's race to lose, but bearing any problems, I think he will take the title tonight.
All right, perfect. Well, don't go anywhere. I need you to stay here on the sofa to watch this race with me. It is race time. Let me hand you over to Matt and Nathan, who will guide you through the drama.
Thank you very much indeed, Tom. Between Cameron Jeffers and a possible national championship title, the first, of course, is 2 laps of the reverse Watopia course. We'll take a look at that course. It's exactly the same course as we saw earlier on for the women's race. And what an absolutely wonderful spectacle, a thriller we had. Let's take another look at this course, Nathan.
Yeah, so this is the SEs. They'll leave the piers and head right on over here toward the SEs. There'll be a couple punches from the get-go, maybe a couple tries to get away over the Julian Washington Bridge, a second bridge, then with the suspension bridge and right into the climb proper. They'll kick right from the get-go, 7-8% gradient into the teens actually for a moment, a little bit of a flat section, then over the KOM for the second kick for that long climb. 3:14 is the fastest time all of these riders have put over that climb, actually. It's absolutely really, really fast. They don't do it a second time, 2 laps, very fast. I'm predicting probably a 24 to 25 minute race. That's like, because it's going to be around 12 or so minutes per lap if they're going full on.
Yeah, and these are very, very experienced Zwift riders, of course. The thing is, how are the tactics going to play? We've got about a minute just under before the race kicks off. Expect an explosive start, as we normally see on these Zwift races. 50 seconds to go, but what can Madison Genesis do? I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I bet they didn't think they'd go into the final that they think Cam Jeffers would have such a healthy lead, but it's mathematically possible. It's Cam Jeffers' race to lose, but they have to go on the offensive and use their numerical superiority.
Yeah, team time trial. I mean, if they just put all the bodies between themselves and Cam Jeffers and get across the finish line, it's over. So, I mean, that'd be a great tactic if they can make it happen. Breaking away from a pack like this, a little bit easier than their usual racing where we got 50 or 60 riders. There's a smaller pack. If they just throw down and say, chase the pro team, they might be able to make it work.
Well, the countdown is nearly at that point. You can just see picture in pitch there, Cameron Jeffers looking cool and composed. What will his face be saying in about half an hour's time? Time will tell. We are nearly there. The countdown beginning. The riders just winding up. Let's get behind them. The crowd here, absolutely electric, and they are off. This is the big final, the first ever British Cycling eRacing Championships, and it's a very, very quick start, and Madison Genesis straight on the offensive as we expected, Nathan.
Yeah, we do see John Mould taking over from the get-go. You would expect in all Zwift racing, scratch races, it is everything from the gun. The avatars may be standing still from the get-go, but the riders are ramping up the watts as fast as they can to slingshot out of the piers and make sure their speeds are as high as possible so you do not get dropped off from the get-go. Nobody getting dropped off from the get-go. We are looking at Phillips here, hanging in for Canyon ZCC, and we haven't spoken too much. We've been talking a lot about Cam Jeffers, talking a lot about Madison Genesis, but there's these other riders in here who are racing for pride at this point. I want to win the final race in the national championships here. Can I just steal some points for myself at this point?
Indeed. Well, we talk about the superiority of Madison Genesis. They've dominated the recent lead, the KISS Super League, which they won overall. Ian Bibby won 4 rounds. We had John Mould, who won 2 rounds. This isn't a position they used to be being in, but as you said, we've got James Phillips in the mix as well. He's up there. Gavin Dempster too. But a steady early start now. Riders watching each other. Jeffers just dropping to the back of that group, making sure he's using that slipstream. But this final discipline, this final round, is a completely different proposition to the first 2 rounds. They suit the punchier riders. I think this is where, although it's short, it can be about 25 minutes long, this is where endurance is really going to start to play a part as well. It's going to be about an hour and a half of intense riding by the end of this session.
Yeah, an hour and a half in total of some very high intensity. So really, they have been drained for the day. They probably got some food between the break here. They had a couple of hours just to take a break since the last race, but still, they are going to be tired at this point. Tom Moses on screen there, really watching now, actually turning into a fairly cagey ride here, fairly calm, a little bit of what we call hand-holding. You know, the peloton here grouping up and just kind of watching for who's going to make a move. You know, what was the reigning national champion who can no longer take it down at this point, Kim Little's still in there as well, and maybe just looking for trying to take something down. Maybe not showed up with the best form though for the day. Maybe was looking for more of a sprint type race to try and make that happen. And so maybe Kim Little's we're looking at here though. 143 beats per minute, looking fairly calm. Maybe we could see something from him still though today.
Indeed, well, Kim Little, the aforementioned chap, just moving up the outside for the Zwift All-Stars. Very, very experienced campaigner, has been racing on Zwift since pretty much its inception. One of the most experienced riders on it, knows how to race exceptionally well. But of course, when we look at the composition of the Madison Genesis team, we are riding here for the British Championship stripes, and one rider who knows how to win those stripes in the real world is Ian Bibby. He's been a winner at national championship level at cyclocross and also criterium racing at all. It'd be an amazing hat trick if he would have pulled it off, but I think he's out of the frame now. This is going to be about trying to support his teammate Tom Moses.
100%, as well as George Pym. You know, there is the reality, there's a battle going on here for the bronze medal too. You know, behind George Pym and James Phillips, we do have Ian Bibby with 26 points. We've got Gavin Dempster with 26 points. There's only a 3-point split between those riders at this point. So there is still a battle going on for the bronze medal. There's also a battle going on for the silver medal too, because the reality is Gavin Dempster could easily take this down in a sprint. This guy knows how to sprint as well, and he could try and get that silver medal. So there's medals all over the place here. Yes, a national champion, that's really what's most wanted here when you show up on the day, but there's also second and third place people will be looking to get on that podium.
Indeed, well, it's John Mould who's just taken over at front. Well, sorry, Tom Moses now, the rider in second position overall, and it looks like Kim Little now is accelerating off the front. An early tentative move on this rolling section, of course. We've still got that big, long climb to come, and as we said just before we kicked off in the pens, a quite remarkable situation in relation to the fastest riders up this hill. All of the riders in this field, all 10 riders, as we said, have the same personal best, 3 minutes and 14 seconds. Just shows how evenly matched these riders are.
That's a screaming time too. I mean, we're talking of pushing into 7 watts per kilogram or more all the way over the top. We're talking probably 500-600 watts we're going to be seeing over and over again, trying to push over the top. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Zwift racing here, just tuning in perhaps, you can see in the upper left-hand corner the current wattage that the riders are putting out. The wattage is the measurement of the power and the force being put into the pedals. If you are out there lifting weights, you're in the weight room and you know how many pounds you're lifting, you know, you would need to, you also now know from the screen here how much power they're putting out in wattage. That's the measurement that we do use in cycling. You also see the heart rate there in the upper left-hand corner there, 164 beats per minute. You also see the RPMs that they're currently spinning on the bike. At the top of your screen, current speed, 47 kilometers per hour, and how much distance they've covered, 2.6 kilometers. We have an attack though here.
Big
John Mould, Pym, Little following it up. Crazy to see. Madison Genesis now are doing what we said.
This is what they're trying to do. Mould goes on the offensive. Pym as well, two very strong. Like Kim Little in the mix as well from the Zwift All-Stars, but straight over the top is Mould pursuing with this effort. Look at the power here, 10.8 watts per kilogram. This power is off the charts. Still a long way to go. Still 12.5 kilometers of this first circuit to go. This is the cobbled section. The riders will get the feedback on Zwift riding over the cobbled section as well. It's actually a little bit harder to push on the bike over this section, just like it would be in the real world.
It is a little bit harder. You can actually see the gradients and what they're experiencing in that upper right-hand corner there. 4% gradient currently that you are seeing from the first-person perspective here. This is actually what John Mould is seeing on screen right now. He uses a drafting boost, actually, as you can see the power-up he did use in the upper left-hand corner there. I believe he did just collect that as he came through the sprint banner. If you want to know when people can collect these power-ups, it is when they go through the banners. There's a sprint banner on course, there's the KOM banner over the top of the climb, and there's a lap finish banner out there as well. At each 3 of those sections, they have a chance to grab a power-up. Again, they're going to be looking for that aero boost being the strongest one out there.
The other power-ups that we're talking about, this is the gamification element, just to add to the physiological demands. There's that psychological element. It's making those hard, nuanced decisions out on the road. And the riders, as we'll just explain there, they have 3 different power-ups which they get randomly when they go past those points. There's a feather-up power-up, which basically makes the rider lighter for 15 seconds. There's the draft one, which is effectively they get for 30 seconds. seconds, signified by a van icon, and then there's the aero helmet power-up, where they basically go quicker. They cut through the air a lot quicker. There's one on the screen being used at the moment. That is the key one that especially the riders want near the finish.
Yeah, Kim Little holding onto that power-up right now. It looks like he gained that as he came through the sprint banner, and he's going to want to hold on to that as long as he possibly can. I think he'll be looking for that in a sprint. He may have to use it if Madison Genesis, though, continue this 1-2 off the front. You want to speak a little bit to that? I mean, this tactic, you'll know a lot about this tactic, I would think, Matt, from in real life racing on the road. I mean, they just keep on throwing everything and even wants the kitchen sink at him at this point.
I think they have to. I don't think they can be complacent. The longer they give Jeffers an armchair ride, the easier it's going to be for him to try and combat things a little bit later on. But the more they throw at him, there's only so many attacks that Cameron Jeffers can neutralise. He's going to rely on the other riders as well. Of course, there's the silver medal, there's the bronze medal up for grabs here as well. And also there's the kudos of winning this final round. Let's have a quick look at the leaderboard. Cam Jeffers is in the lead, 13 seconds to the good. Tom Moses is in second place at the moment with 32. Then we have James Phillips, equal on points with George Pym of Madison Genesis. 1 point further behind is Ian Bibby. Then we have Dempster, Mould, Laverick, Little and Stevie Young. So Jeffers is the man for the Cycling Hub who is in pole position at the moment, but it's Little and Dempster at the head of affairs.
Little and Dempster, some of the most experienced Zwifters that we do have in the race out here. Kim Little with over 500 races out on Zwift. I know Dempster pushing up into those numbers as well as far as the experience goes. They know how to make this climb happen. And again, all these riders, though, do know this climb very well with the exact best, all of their personal best out here is a 3:14, so we'll have to see if they can match that or if they're going to go faster than that even after doing an elimination race in a sprint race because of how much is on the line. Cam Jeffers in view here, but only with the drafting power-up. I think we're going to see that used before we hit the top of the KOM.
Indeed, with 3 riders just used their featherweight power-ups just over this steep section. That's probably the best place to use it, and there's a big move here. Dempster is going clear with Ian Bibby. Bibby on the attack. Jeffers has got to neutralise this. You can just see Jeffers looking remarkably composed. That is a man in very, very good form indeed. Moses goes straight over the top.
Mould, though, off the back. That is one rider from Madison Genesis that can no longer be involved. 31 seconds off the back. John Mould has faded, and no longer does Madison Genesis have 4 matches to burn to try and take down Cameron Jeffers. At this point, it's 3 versus 2 with Laverick and Jeffers on the same team, the Cycling Hub Wahoo team, versus Madison Genesis as far as the team tactics go out there today.
Well, that is sensational stuff. We're still about halfway around the first lap, another full lap to go, but to lose John Mould at such an early stage, that is a big chink in the armour of Madison Genesis. As you said, one less option to use. Cameron Jeffers is going to be smiling, but I know that this team will not give up. George Pym now goes. Bibby again close behind. Laverick now in the mix as well.
Laverick is a good climber, actually, and he is a great support to Cam Jeffers out there. You can see him following every move, but there's Mould looking to the right there at his teammate, seeing what's happening there up ahead now, and Mould, though, off the back here, 159 beats per minute, cooling down after he knows he is out of contention at this point.
He certainly is. Well, Cameron Jeffers moves up to the front there, imposing himself on this race, but looking very, very calm. But still, look at the numbers here. I'm just looking behind me. The riders still looking relatively composed, just showing how fit they are, how fit they have to be, especially these back-to-back events. Remember, this isn't just one race. It's an accumulation of points over 3 events, and the rider with the most amount of points at the end will be given that title and wear that red, white and blue jersey throughout the next 12 months. So much is at stake as we look at picture-in-picture of a real convert to eRacing, Ian Bibby.
Ian Bibby here has been the workhorse so far in this climb. As soon as they hit the flatter section, he went to the front and continued to push 6 to 7 watts per kilogram through the entirety of that flatter section, allowing his teammates to sit in. We saw Moses and Pym, as it's getting closer to the pointy end of this climb, make their way to his wheel, and now I think we might see an attack in a moment here from Madison Genesis. We might have to see, though, if they do not feel that it's timing right, they might sit in and wait for the next time around for the climb. We are about to come over the top of this KOM and see what the time is on the day. I'm predicting it may be the fastest time, as they might be a little bit tired the second time over the top.
Indeed. Well, we'll see also what power-ups these riders get as well. It's completely random, the power-ups they get, as we look at Jeffers looking across, almost nonchalant, looks so relaxed. Jeffers midway through the pack. Pym goes over the top in first place, opens up a little bit of a lead here. Tom Moses not too far behind, but Jeffers takes the KOM points just over the top there. And there we go, still all together, save for John Mould, who is out the back.
3:28 is the time that they pulled over the top there. A little bit slower than we saw in the qualifier. Obviously, the riders tired after 2 races prior. They would in the qualifier, they would have been rested up, fueled up, and ready to go. Here, it's been a lot of racing already, like an hour of like absolute all-out sprints over and over again. Speaking though of the tactics here, we're being told that Jeffers has been averaging about 4.1 watts per kilogram. That's the ratio he's been averaging for his power to the weight that he weighs. Moses, with the attacks that Madison Genesis have been putting on over and over again, 5.0 watts per kilogram, almost a full ratio, 1 ratio higher. That is a massive effort compared to, and it shows what Madison Genesis is trying to do.
It shows what they have to do. They have to try and put him under pressure. But as I said, they're riding around here at the same speed. But for that same speed, Madison Genesis have put far more effort in. That is what, in layman's terms, you're actually saying, because of the benefits of sitting in the slipstream of the other riders. Remember, this is a virtual world, but it has real-life conditions. The gradients are matched. The drafting is matched. Slipstreaming is there as well. So that is why Cameron Jeffers, at the moment, he hasn't got anything to do. I mean, apart from follow. It is up to the other riders to go on the attack. And as we come into the back end of lap number 1, he's looking in pole position at the moment, looking calm, looking collected, looking like he's got a fair bit under the hood still.
Yeah, he's really played this very well so far as his tactic will go, and it's really playing into his hand now. Now, there is something else to be said, though, to the nature of the races that we've seen earlier today and where people stand in the points, because it isn't the usual race that these riders see out on Zwift. It's a lot of scratch racing out on Zwift as far as the day in and day out racing here, and so we have a few more contenders in here for the win. We still have Steve Young, who loves a flat sprint at the finish. We actually seen a feather power up though here coming from one of the riders there from Madison Genesis being used, maybe looking for that aero power up for the final sprint. Now we do see Pim here making his way to the front, but still involved. We have Phillips, we still have Laverick, we've still got Kim Little and Steve Young. So it's not just this Wahoo Cycling Hub team versus the Madison Genesis. We still got Canyon ZCC in there, the Zwift All-Stars rider, as well as Marita Factory riding with Kim Little. So a lot can still happen.
As we're looking at the stats of Stevie Young there, just look at the way that there's spikes. That replicates the kind of effort that is being made there. The different power levels in the blue, that's low power. Green also. Then as we move through that red line, that is when a rider goes anaerobic, basically straight into the red. That is, it's a power that is only sustainable for short periods of time. That'll be when they're closing down gaps, attacking or doing sprints. But at the moment, as we see Kim Little on the front, the power dropping a little bit of a lull in the action here as riders try and get the measure of each other. And again, I think they're trying to save their energy for the final club. I think, without trying to predict too much, that is where we're going to see some extreme fireworks. That is where the other riders have to go on the attack if they want to upseat Jeffers.
Yeah, I have a feeling that maybe what they're reserving for, but Ian Bibby here maybe putting a little bit of a wrench into all that.
There we go.
No, a serious wrench. 11 watts per kilogram. He's going almost 1,000 watts, I believe. Bibby with a 2-second gap immediately, and that's how you get a gap in Zwift. You can't roll on the front with 6 watts per kilogram. You got to put a full-on attack, sprint off the front, get those riders off of your wheel, no draft for them, and now we see a bridge trying to happen as well. Laverick followed, but it won't matter for Jeffers that Laverick followed and held onto that wheel, because he's got to close the gap now because Ian Bibby went so incredibly hard off the front.
Well, it looks like it has all come back together very, very quickly indeed. But again, the road is running out. We only have around 13 kilometres, 14 kilometres to go before the champion is crowned, the first champion, and another little attack. Moses now goes. Remember, Moses is the rider with all TN. He is the rider in second position, going very, very long. 8.3 watts a kilo. Big attack from Moses.
Yeah, Tom Moses, that was actually planned perfectly by Madison Genesis. It was the 1-2 punch. We saw Bibby go. Then as soon as he was caught, Tom Moses just goes right on by the whole pack. The reason being is everybody else is put on the back foot. Their heart rates are high. They're looking for a rest, and Tom Moses counters. Looks like he's calming it down, though, as Canyon ZCC shut that down with Stevie Young.
Well, that was a very interesting situation. It wasn't Jeffers who brought it back. It was the other riders, and that's what you said before. This isn't just about Jeffers and the Madison Genesis team. The other riders want a piece of the action as well, but classic action as Pim now goes over the attack. We knew there'd be hammer blows. The repeated attacks are the only way they're going to try and upseat Jeffers. Great to see. Wonderful to see them on the offensive. This is going to be a thrilling finale. Pim now 3 seconds clear.
Yeah, and here, this may be a tactic where they see Moses try and get across here. At some point, he's got to do so if they're looking for the national championship, or they let Pim just go and say, look, at least grab that podium. We'll have to see how it plays out if Moses just says, I just don't got anything left in the tank. Laverick, though, following it up immediately. 8 watts per kilogram coming from Laverick, closing it down for Wahoo CH on this little bit of a grinder before they hit that sprint point and over the Julian Washington Bridge. Look how it's spread out, though. What is that telling us about the riders right now as that elastic starts to snap?
It's also telling me that they are gasping for breath and there's lactic acid soaring through their muscles on the limits. Laverick trying to close that gap. A good move here by George Pym, but he has been joined by Laverick. Now we have a 2-second gap next to Dempster and Bibby, but Jeffers still looking okay, still in the mix, still a fair distance to go, but things now are really hotting up. Believe you me, this is session number 3. There's going to be some real fatigue creeping into the legs of these riders. Will we see another attack go straight over the top?
Laverick here just rolling right on through that sprint section. You do see the first person perspective. You see how look at that graph. A lot of red on that graph, really spiking. There have been major attacks in the last 5 minutes or so of this race. And you see how hard he has gone. He's gone into that zone 5 over and over again from his first person perspective that we're looking at right now. He also has an aero power up that could be used to shut down any attacks at this point. His teammate, Cameron Jeffers, jumps on his wheel, aero power up used, and at that point, both of them are rolling away.
Indeed, well, Laverick looking pretty composed, just dialed things back again, just shows how fit these riders are. The real definition of fitness isn't just how strong you are, it's how you cope with repeated attacks. It's the endurance side of it. And this is the sort of course that really does provide the catalyst for some very, very attacking racing. The way that the road ebbs and flows, rises and falls, twists and turns. And this narrative is twisting and turning as well. But how many more matches have Madison Genesis got to burn here? And how is Cameron Jeffers feeling? He's in the mix, looking very, very good all together as we head into the last third of this race.
Yeah, final climb coming up here. Just take a couple of winding bends here, a couple of little punches, and over the suspension bridge. We're being told that the latest attacks have dropped the predicted finish time by almost 1 minute to just over 24 minutes, actually. 24 minutes, just a little bit over 24 minutes. Those are a little bit over 12-minute laps here. These attacks have absolutely sped everything up and caused the riders to burn a lot of energy at this point. Cam Jeffers, though, speaking of burning energy, looks fairly calm, actually.
Yeah, he was just knocking out 5.5 watts per kilogram and looking like he was out for a stroll in the park. He is a man on form at the moment. Perhaps he's playing a little bit of poker out there. Remember, the riders behind us in our commons booth can see each other. Every now and again, they'll be looking across at each other. They can't just see the avatars on screen. They can see themselves in the real world as well here at the BT Sports Play. Fascinating stuff, but Jeffers looking good. He even gives his eyebrows a bit of a wipe. What panache from Cam Jeffers. Is he the champion-elect, or are we going to see a real twist in this remarkable story?
That graph that we just saw at the bottom of the screen a moment ago says a lot about the eyebrow wipe in there, though. Very calm. You saw a lot of gray, a lot of blue, which tells us he's zone 1, zone 2. For those who are familiar with exercise zones, you know, there's only certain places you can go as far for 4 and 5, but the reality is those zones are telling us that he hasn't really had to put too much out on course besides to follow some moves and go on the climb.
He doesn't have to attack, and he'll be churlish and slightly foolhardy. He'll be riding with panache if he went on the attack, but if he wants to seal this championships, he's just got to keep an eye on the other riders, let all the other riders do the work, and have what we call an armchair ride to the finish. And by that I mean sitting in the slipstream of the other riders, therefore using far less energy than the riders who had to go on the attack. Here's a reminder of the leaderboard as we head into the final half a lap where the championship will be decided. Cam Jeffers for the Cycling Hub leads with 45 points. Tom Moses is in second with 32. James Phillips is in third with 27 points, the same amount of points as George Pym, who's in fourth. Then we have Bibby with 26, Dempster 25, Mould, Laverick, Little and Young. That is your top 10. So leader with a 13-point advantage. Mathematically, there are still 2 riders that can win this, but it's all about how many riders can get in between the riders in front, and then Jeffers, of course.
Yeah, and we do see taking over at the front end of this race now, the Zwift All-Stars kit there. That is Kim Little on the front end of this pack, though, but Ian Bibby's now starting to take over. Moses goes with 10 watts per kilogram right from the start of the climb here, and it's going to be Moses. Kim Little has to follow with 760 watts there. That is a huge effort. Some people can't even get close to 700 watts for a second there. Now we see a feather power up coming from Dempster. Dempster is using that to try and get away at this 9-10% gradient, the smartest place to use that feather power up, lowering his weight at the steepest gradient of the climb. Not sure he's going to get away though. Jeffers there immediately marks. Last lap we saw Laverick was the one that was following, coming from the Wahoo CH team, but no, it's going to be Jeffers now, who knows he can't let Dempster go.
Well, Dempster rolls over the top, opens up a little bit more of a gap, but it's straight over the top using another power up. Is Tom Moses with a featherweight power up just over the crest. Maybe used it a little bit late there. Jeffers is having to chase this one down.
This might be it. Oh my goodness, now Jeffers goes with Moses. It's the head-to-head in the situation, though. This may be the move, but Moses, he has to get away. Has Jeffers been broke? That's going to be the question. That attack over the top there really opened up a gap, but Jeffers was able to close it.
Well, Jeffers is happy to work here, but Moses, he shouldn't really work. He needs the bunch to come back. The only way that Moses is going to take this title, pull on that virtual national champs jersey, is to beat Jeffers, but get other riders in between. He doesn't want to ride. It's not about him just trying to win this and Cameron Jeffers coming second. It's getting very, very tactical. There, the faces. Moses on the left, Jeffers on the right. Both studies of concentration, both in with a shout of winning this championships. Wonderful stuff with the big climb now out of the way.
Yeah, and we can see on the left-hand side maybe a little bit of like, some things that are a little bit out of control of Moses' hands at this point. He's got to get riders between himself and Cam Jeffers. How can I make that happen? How can I get somebody to come with me? He has to continue to attack, but Ian Bibby here goes with it to try and assist his rider, maybe to get one of his riders back onto the wheel there. Maybe Tom Moses can close it down here. Bibby goes, though, maybe just to take the whole thing himself here. 2 seconds is the difference now. Moses looks to foul. He has to bring him along with him. Jeffers here, though, look at the concentration, sitting in, looking over at the other rider, looking how much are you suffering, and just kind of stares him down.
Tell you what, and that is showmanship at the highest level. Jeffers just throws a little insolent glance across at Tom Moses, who looks like he's a man on the edge at the moment, but Bibby is clear by 2 seconds. Dempster is just behind, but Bibby, he is a rider with the attributes, with the caliber to carry this off, but it's all about what's happening behind, because Bibby needs other riders to get in the mix, but it is now Laverick in second position, but Bibby holding on, resting his arms over the top of the bars, trying to get as comfy as possible. He is now in TT mode.
He is in TT mode. He is holding on, as you said there. You see the red that went into that effort before, but now it's dropping to yellow and blue at this point. He's just trying to hold on to the gap that he's got at 2 seconds at this point. He has to do so if he wants to try and just win this specific race outright, but with only 1 second and the large pack behind on a downhill with that speed, not sure it's going to happen. Jeffers now going at the top of this climb, though, for the KOM. He's the one that needs to win, well, at least take fourth place, and it looks like Cameron Jeffers is extremely calm. Moses perhaps on a back foot, looking for a little bit of a rest before the final. It's going to be about putting those bodies between Tom Moses and Cam Jeffers now in a sprint.
It certainly is. Well, Jeffers has had I say relatively easy ride, and I use that word quite loosely because this has been very, very hard, but the amount of composure, the amount of poise that Jeffers has ridden with has been quite remarkable, especially under the pressure, the wave of attacks that have come from the men in orange, blue and black of Madison, Genesis, and of course the other riders here. They're now on this descent. They will ricochet through those last few bends, and then the finish will open out, but of course Cam Jeffers still cannot rest on his laurels. He cannot relax. He needs to stay focused all the way to the line. But what can Tom Moses do? And of course, there's the pride at stake here of winning the final round. But remember, the national champs bands are up for grabs here. About 1 kilometre to go now.
Fourth or better, the pressure is on Cam Jeffers now at this point, but he looks like a man calm under pressure. But still, fourth or better amongst some of the best Zwifters that we've ever seen. They're so quick. It's a crazy sprint, but we saw him do it, and we saw him do it in the last race, perfectly timed for those 10 points in that final kick for the double points in the sprint point competition. So can he do it again? Here we go as we roll across the line in just across the left-hand turn in just a moment. Here will be a right-hand bend then. It's probably going to open up for Madison Genesis and just try and hold on to the finish line and allow Tom Moses to get the best placing he possibly can. Here we go. We've got the drafting power-up coming from one of the riders, but no, it's going to be Jeffers with a very early power-up. 18 watts per kilogram from Jeffers. Everything he's got. Moses is looking to respond, but Jeffers has the gap. Can it be closed down? 1,139 watts from Jeffers. He's trying to hold on. James Phillips is trying to come across, but it looks like it's going to be said and done for the overall. James Phillips lifted at the line, it looked like, for the win in this race, but Cam Jeffers, I think, just won a national championship.
Oh, there's no think about it. I think Moses took it on the line, but Jeffers, with that long attack, rode with such style, such verve, and there he is, dripping with sweat, draped over his handlebars, the fatigue writ large on his face, disappointment on the face of Moses, but we have the first ever eSports national champion. Cameron Jeffers will be in red, white and blue for the next 12 months.
What an amazing effort, and a calm effort, though, at the same time. Very cool poker face. Played it right, put the chips on the table at the right time, and took the all in.
It was like Liam Gallagher on a bike.
British Cycling Zwift eRacing National Championship winner, and he's going to be wearing that jersey in-game as well as in real life for 2019. Amazing job there to Cam Jeffers. Now, there's another story here, though, also with the rest of the podium going on.
Of course.
With silver as well as bronze. We'll have to wait and see how that ended up playing out, because there was a lot of riders still in amongst that pack there trying to take that down. I believe this is your race winner, though, when it came to this race within this Omnium, and it looks like here with Phillips, I believe he just nipped it at the way. It looks like, yep, official there now on screen. Men's Wahoo Scratch race winner. Perfectly timed there from James Phillips and Canyon ZCC.
Well, that's going to be 25 points for him. That'll take him on to 52 points. We could have got a medal out of that. We'll get the confirmation of the overall very shortly, but the man on your screen, he is going to be wearing that virtual jersey for the next 12 months. Look at that. There is his sponsor, Wahoo. Of course, this event is the Wahoo Men's Scratch Race, and because of his high finish, he is walking away, or cycling away, with that title. What a race that was, up against the might of Madison Genesis. But these 3 rounds, the format of the racing rewards consistency, and that is what this man showed tonight.
It really has rewarded. That's a great point, actually. The idea of trying to get it so that the strongest man wins, the most tactical man wins on the day, and that is definitely what we saw happen here. As Cameron Jeffers in the first race, maybe not the highest placing, got enough points though to make it happen in the second and third race. Let's go ahead and have a post-race interview with Laura on the floor.
Thank you very much indeed, Nathan. Wow, what an incredible race that was. That final K was blistering. What was going through your mind?
I just knew I had to be in front of Tom. So, but I mean, yeah, the last K, you're going to win.
You can see it on the screen right here as well. See how it played out.
Yeah, so the front 2 guys sort of eased off for a second, so I went a bit sooner than I'd have liked, so I had quite a long sprint out, but I just knew I had to stay in front of the Madison boys, and James came around me for the finish, but yeah.
And they really took it to you as well. All race, they were firing off attacks. First it was John Mould, then it was Ian Bibby. How did you keep your cool?
I don't know really. I was stuck to Tom like glue. I knew Bibby was going, but where he was attacking, it wasn't necessarily the most beneficial places to attack, so perhaps on a downhill where the group's going fast anyway, so it's very hard to get away. And yeah, I just knew it'd come down to that final climb, which it did really, so yeah.
And a bit of a history right here. The first ever male British Cycling Zwift eRacing champion. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, it's a cool thing to be part of. I think it's so new. Not many people know too much about it, but yeah, I certainly think this is the future of cycling, and yeah, I'm just happy to be part of it more than anything.
Well, we're very happy to have you here as well. Let's confirm those all-important results. Graphic on the screen for you right now. Let's take a look. These are the race results, and it is indeed James Phillips who took the win in that one. Cam Jeffers was second, and Kim Little coming through in third place there. Well, what about that sprint? An incredible sprint from James Phillips, just snatch it at the line. I mean, Cam said he went a little bit earlier than he thought. Did you sense that he'd gone a bit early?
Yeah, I saw him go. There's a bit of a gap there, so I had to close the gap. But it was pretty good timing, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was all right, and I think you're second overall as well after that.
There we are, yeah, happy with that. Pretty chuffed with that, yeah. So to get on the podium really was the goal coming into the final race, and to finish it off. Yeah, over the moon with that. Obviously the win would have been brilliant, but Cam did fantastically well today really, and yeah, fair dues to him.
And a very consistent performance from both of you. How hard have you worked leading into this day?
Yeah, pretty hard. I broke my leg just before Christmas, so it's been a real painful trip back, to be honest, and those that are close to me will know how much work I've put in for it, yeah, I know I've still got more to give, and just pretty chuffed really to get second after the injury I had. So.
Well done on victory today and for getting back. James Phillips, second place and winner of the scratch race, of course. And Tom Moses. It all started so well for you, Tom. Talk me through the tactics there from Madison Genesis, because you guys were really animating the race.
Yeah, so we just threw it all at Cam, and fair play to him, he covered us every time. So we just went in and we said, I don't care if I get second or 10th, just try and win it. So I don't know where I came overall, but yeah, we threw everything at Cam, and yeah, he best man won.
Your third overall, what do you make of that?
I got to be happy with the podium anyway, something to take away from the day.
And how have you enjoyed today? It's been an amazing display of racing, of tactics. Madison Genesis, of course, really ruling the roost on Zwift as well. What do you boys make of eRacing as a platform for cycling?
Oh, it's great, you know. I mean, you can't really compare it to road racing or track. It's an entire discipline in itself. So, yeah, events like this are great. It's something to look forward to and really try and win. So, yeah, I love it.
And for those not sure at home, perhaps watching the avatars and thinking that you're pedalling softly, can you put into words how painful it is to try and ward off attacks and sprint for the line?
Yeah, if you're at home, not done Zwift, then if you're not prepared to hurt yourself, I don't think you should bother. But yeah, you got to just go flat out, and you never ever go as hard on the turbo as you do when you're going flat out on Zwift, trying to get rid of cam. So yeah, it's just a great way of training and racing.
Pretty savage race, pretty savage day of racing. Tom, there you go, our men's champion is crowned.
Thank you so much, Laura. Great work from you chatting to the riders there. If you're not prepared to hurt, don't bother. I love that from Tom. Listen, let's just remind everybody the final standings. This is how it all ended, the final table. And as you can see, Cam Jeffers getting those 65 points, which means he is the champ. And in second place, James Phillips, Tom Moses in third, and so forth. So there you go. I'm joined by Matt, who was commentating throughout the race, and Hannah. We were loving that, and such a tactical race, and what a great ending to a fantastic day.
It was, and fair play to, I mean, one thing, I mean, I think Tom Moses goes where the best haircut, he's got the national championship for the best hairdo, but no, the racing itself, it was really tactical, because you saw Jeffers in a very, very strong position, so Madison Genesis had to go on the offensive, but as Moses said, Jeffers was equal to it all, and he could ride in a relatively conservative manner, and because there's so much at stake here with other riders coming in the mix and shutting things down, so you vicariously had these teammates as well. But no, a fascinating spectacle. But again, it's all about this format rewards consistency, as I said before, and that's what Jeffers did best. And fair play to him. So a wonderful ride by him.
Yeah, indeed. And Madison trying to stop Cam the Man, and Cam the Man was the man on this occasion. But Madison had a situation where they lost John Mould early on in that race.
Yeah, I think it was a big tactical scenario by Madison. You know, like Tom Moses said before, they said to each other, let's try and win this race. Let's take it to them. If we don't get on the podium, but we've tried to win the race, perfect. So be it. But yeah, John, I think attacked early, try and put some pressure on the other riders, and then you saw Bibby going for it on the climb, and it was just non-stop attacking and counter-attacking each other, and Pim had to go, and then Moses as well. So yeah, I think they.
I agree with the hair. I agree with the hair as well, Matt. That was
hair looks great.
Listen, let's see how those podium riders feel about it right now, because I'm going to pass over back to Nathan in the comms to do the presentation.
Amazing post-race interviews and a great job to the riders out there. But here we go, ladies and gentlemen, the award ceremony of the men's 2019 British Cycling Zwift eRacing Championships. The medals and jersey will be presented by Jonathan Rigby, Commercial Director of British Cycling. And in third place and winner of the bronze medal, Tom Moses. Tom able to hang on there at the end with a solid result, and Tom Moses, your British Cycling Zwift eRacing bronze medalist. In second place and winner of the silver medal, James Phillips. Nipping it just at the line there, James Phillips grabbing with the last race that silver medalist, British Cycling Zwift eRacing silver medalist today. And in first place and winner of the gold medal, your national champion, is going to be Cameron Jeffers. Donning that jersey now, you'll be able to wear that jersey in real life as well as in Zwift for the rest of 2019, the reigning champion. There it is, your winners, your podium today here. The flowers will be presented by Craig Edmondson, CEO of Zwift Esports. Congratulations to each one of the riders out there, and congratulations to your national champion and medalists today.
There's 2 minutes to the closer, so that... All right there. For a moment there, I didn't think James or Cam were going to get a bunch of flowers, but they did. Beautiful scenes from those guys. Incredible work from James. A broken leg just before Christmas. I have to say, I mean, I think we'll all agree, incredible scenes there. What do you take away from this amazing day today, Hannah?
I just think it was a fantastic day of racing, and it was very unpredictable, and it was just fantastic. And I hope a lot of people watching at home come away from it feeling inspired and want to take up Zwift racing. Now they've seen how hard it is and how much effort it takes to do. I just think it's a fantastic, wonderful platform, and hopefully even more countries will take up this big day of racing as well in the coming years.
Yeah, definitely. That's what we're hoping, Matt. I have a lot to thank for you watching your YouTube videos. Got me into Zwift. So in terms of people watching at home, Tom Moses put it nicely. If you don't want to feel pain, don't get into it. But it's so competitive. People love this.
It's hard. It's extremely hard, but it's also remarkably accessible. You can just jump on Zwift. You don't even need to race. You can have fun. And I'm a traditionalist. I'm just a fan of cycling full stop, whether it be road racing, track racing, mountain biking, cyclocross. But esports is new, but it's here to stay. It's part of the cycling firmament. It's just going to get bigger, better, more exciting. Watch this space.
Indeed. We're hoping for another event like this. Is that what we're trying to push out there?
I think so.
Okay. And obviously today these riders, everyone who compete, not just being on the top 1, 2 and 3, they've all done an amazing job today, haven't they?
Yeah, I think across the board there's been... I think the wonderful thing about the e-racing is, of course, these riders are remarkably fit. But ultimately, this is a game as well. It's fun. So
Yeah.
the gamification element is something all these riders are just going to get better at. The better at it they get, the more the developers will look at kind of toying with things. So we've got this wonderfully new format that has got a long way to go. It's just going to get better and better.
Well, listen, guys, I'm going to say thank you, Hannah. Thank you, Matt. Thank you very much to everyone. And thank you to you guys. I'm sure you agree tonight has been simply brilliant. We promised you drama at the top of the show, and we didn't let you down. Congratulations to Roe Bradbury and Cam Jeffers, who leave here tonight as the British Cycling Zwift eRacing Champions 2019. It's a goodbye from all of us.